Whenever someone brings up Hannibal Lecter, most people automatically think of Silence of the Lambs with Anthony Hopkins as the cannibalistic psychiatrist. However, I always think of the 1986 Michael Mann film, Manhunter, which has Brian Cox as Hannibal.
I thought so.
While Silence of the Lambs may be more iconic, I've always preferred this film to be superior. But enough about Silence of the Lambs. Today, I'll be talking about Manhunter. Manhunter was released in 1986 and is based off the Thomas Harris novel Red Dragon. The film stars William Peterson as Detective Will Graham. The movie starts with grainy POV shots of the killer inside the victim's house. It is later said that this is the house of the Leeds family. Will Graham, a former FBI officer, is being convinced out of retirement by friend and superior officer Jack Crawford.
If you can't look anymore, I understand.
Don't try to run a game down on me, Jack.
They are trying to track down a serial killer nicknamed the Tooth Fairy, named that because of the bite marks on his victims. Crawford assures Graham's wife that he will not be harmed, and will only be looking at evidence and crime scenes.
Keep him as far away from it as I can.
Graham enters the Leeds house, where he tries to get in the mindset of the killer.
Blood AB positive, type from saliva on glass from licking the suction cup. Why didn't he care that he left saliva on the glass?
But while your gloves were off, did you open all their eyes so that they could see you?
Dust Mrs. Leeds, finger and toenails, and the corneas of all their eyes.
He has the bodies dusted for fingerprints and is deemed successful.
This guy, we don't even have motive. None of us have shit, and we know it.
It's in his dreams.
His motive?
Yeah. His act fuels his fantasy.
Which is?
I don't know.
Upon finding the fingerprints, he and Crawford are approached and questioned by tabloid journalist Freddie Lowndes.
So come on, Will, when did they call you in? What do you got? Hey, look, I'm buying lunch, all right?
Lounge, why don't you give it a rest?
Hey, he's news. I'm doing my job. So, how does this guy compare with Lecter, huh? What does he do to him? How's he doing? How's he doing, Will?
Keep the away from me.
Will.
Graham pays a visit to psychiatrist Hannibal Lecter, whom he had previously captured and arrested, to see if he can help Graham with the case. After a tense conversation, Graham decides to give Lecter the case files. Hannibal gets under Graham's skin, which makes him run out of the cell room. Soon afterward, Lecter calls Graham's attorney and acquires his home number and address. Graham travels to the first crime scene in Birmingham, Alabama, where he climbs up in a tree and finds a sawed-off wrench and a symbol carved into it. He is called by Lecter's warden, who found a note in his cell. They find out that it's from the Tooth Fairy because the bite marks on the paper match the ones on the victims.
It has teeth marks pressed into it at the bottom.
Sir, order a chopper, next thing smoking. I don't care whose it is. 2, call Alabama Air National Guard and tell them to get Graham back here right now. Then call documents, tell them to scramble a team. I want everybody moving 5 minutes ago. You understand?
There's a missing piece of the note, which they find out had a book code on it. The FBI intends to write a fake ad to replace Lecter's, but without the book code, the Tooth Fairy will figure out that it's fake.
Lecter's ad runs as is. We decode it later, or we pull it, figure out the code, and run our own ad next week.
And lose a week? We got 17 days till the next
And I don't like Lecter's ad running without knowing what it says.
Graham decides to have Lowndes interview him for his newspaper, the National Tattler. Graham gives him a false profile of the Tooth Fairy to incite him. Later he is kidnapped by the Tooth Fairy and is forced to record a statement before being set on fire in a wheelchair and rolled into the parking lot of the National Tattler. The FBI decodes the message, and they find out that it's Graham's address.
It said Graham home, 3860 DeSoto Highway, Captiva, Florida. Save yourself, kill them all.
Get me a plane.
His wife and son are moved to a safe house where the Tooth Fairy cannot find him. He later explains to his son why he had previously retired.
I tried to build feelings in my imagination like the killer had, so that I would know why he did what he did, because that would help me find him. After my body got okay, I still had his thoughts going around in my head. And a doctor friend of mine, Dr. Bloom, asked me to get some help. And I did. And after a while, I felt better. And I was okay again.
At a film lab in St. Louis, Francis Dollarhide, aka the Tooth Fairy, offers a blind co-worker, Reba McLean, a ride home. He takes her to his house, where he watches home videos of his next victim. Next night, Graham figures out the Tooth Fairy murders people because he wants to be accepted. Dollarhide watches as Reba is escorted home by another co-worker. He murders the man and kidnaps Reba.
Francis?
No. Not Francis. Francis is gone. Francis is gone forever.
Graham finds out the connection between the families. He finds out the tapes were processed in St. Louis and determines that the killer had seen the tapes and was an employee that processed them.
The primary sensory intake that makes your dream live is seeing. You've seen these films. The tapes were transferred from home movies. Where's the packaging the films came in?
Leeds can, Gateway Labs, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Jacoby label will say the same thing as the Leeds label. Gateway Labs, St. Louis, Missouri. It does, doesn't it?
Him and Crawford figure out that the killer was Dollarhide, and they go to his home. While Inagana Devita by Iron Butterfly is playing, Dollarhide is attempting to murder Reba. While the cops surround the house, Graham throws himself at the window. He is temporarily knocked out by Francis. Afterward, Francis grabs a shotgun and kills a couple of officers that wound him in the process. Dollarhide walks back into the kitchen where he is shot multiple times and killed by Graham. Graham, Reba, and Crawford are tended to by paramedics. Graham then returns home to his family. Okay, so that was the overview or plot of the movie, basically. So, now into the review. So as I mentioned earlier, I like this better than Silence of the Lambs. I don't have anything against Silence of the Lambs. I still think it's a really good movie. But there's something about this that I just really like. Michael Mann's just a really good director. He's done a lot of good stuff. What I first known him from was Miami Vice, and then I found out he did a Hannibal Lecter film, and then I watched it. I like how Will Graham gets inside the mind of the Tooth Fairy. That's something that's really scary to imagine, you know? I thought that was a really good concept. There was a little bit of that in Silence of the Lambs, but I think it was executed here better, if that makes any sense. So I definitely recommend this film. I give this film a 10 out of 10. If you haven't watched it, I definitely would check it out. So let me know in the comments if you like this video. If you like Manhunter, let me know what you think. Do you like Silence of the Lambs better? Or did you like Red Dragon better than Manhunter?
That's the same atrocious aftershave you wore in court.
That's the same atrocious aftershave you wore in court.
Well, until next time, have a nice day.